Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Joy News. Today, we're coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlemlebe on DTT because we're free to air on DSTV channel 421, Go TV channel 125. We are a home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Coming up this afternoon, renal patients' heart hate as the lab workers' strike enters day 5. We will tell you why relatives of these renal patients are beginning to feel uncomfortable over the industrial action. The strike, meanwhile, remains in full force despite the order for the lab workers to go back to work. Also this afternoon, Ghana Hydrological Authority working with GMET and NADMO to implement early flood warning systems in the Greater Accra region to deal with the perennial floods.
Early warning systems for flood and drought prediction play a pivotal role in climate resilience and adaptation strategies, serving as a crucial line of defense against the escalating impact of climate change.
Plus, MP for Bole Bamboy accuses Lands Minister of giving out large mining concessions in his constituency to foreigners without consultation after NPP Vice Chair and Secretary were allegedly beaten by some soldiers. We're also live on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and X Spaces at Joy News on TV. My personal handle is @Nana Aisha. Please do stay for details. Many thanks for choosing us. Relatives of renal patients are uneasy with persisting industrial action by medical laboratory workers in the public health facilities. The strike by the Medical Laboratory Professional Workers Union is yet to be called off as directed by the National Labour Commission. Hayford's mother visits hospital twice in a week for dialysis, but he fears for the worst in her condition if the public labs continue to be shut. People with kidney failure are only a fraction of patients adversely impacted by the strike of the laboratory workers. Concerned relatives like Hayford are worried about unwarranted death if the strike is not called off. Listen to him earlier speaking with my colleague Clinton Yeboah.
It was a blood infusion that she was supposed to take, but she's supposed to take it in a form of a pack cell. And these laboratory technicians, they know it already. It takes time to prepare it. It's so heartbreaking because each time you come for a session, there is an amount of blood that is reduced from the amount of blood you already have. And sometimes, if you are lucky and then you go and check on labs, that is when the doctor would alert you that at this point your patient can't have dialysis, because if she goes on the dialysis, the machine virtually takes certain amount of blood from the patient. Since they are on strike since Monday, if the person doesn't receive blood earlier, the person will pass out. People on blood infusion, those who are supposed to get blood, because of the strike, now they are trying to improvise, of which their improvisation won't sustain them. So if these strikes are not called off earlier, Kumasi should expect mass burial. I know most of the doctors can be smart and they can put it to any other means. Oh, it was because of this. It was but the truth is that people without blood, people who need blood to go on dialysis, people at the ICU unit, people at the accidents ward, people who need blood, if they don't get it earlier enough, people are dying. Oh God.
You have a concerned relative who says he fears his kidney relative may die if the strike is not called off. Clinton Yeboah joins us with more. Clinton, what more have you been picking from the hospitals?
All right, Aisha, you can just hear the frustration in the voice of Hayford. And it's actually the same situation when you go to the renal unit of Konfanochi Teaching Hospital. Patients are stranded, relatives are frustrated as to where to go from there, because blood samples of patients are supposed to go through labs for infusion to happen.
Let's pick the
And also,
Bole story.
Also, it is necessary to have their kidney function monitored. And these are all things that have got to do with laboratory services and laboratory tests. And here is a situation where when they come, they are being turned away, or they are being told to bank their hopes on whether the strike is going to end or not. And it's an unfortunate issue for these patients. Remember that these patients are supposed to have some of these sessions 2 to 3 times a week. And so you can imagine coming 5 days of this strike, coming 2 times or 3 times in a week for your session as scheduled, and being turned away that, I mean, you are not going to be attended to because of the strike. Aside from these, it also puts patients' life in danger because, I mean, the laboratory tests are very important to be able to monitor the electrolyte balance of patients. The electrolyte balance are the potassium and sodium levels of the bloods of kidney patients, and you need to monitor them before infusion can happen. If you do not do it, then you put the patient at risk. And here is a situation that, I mean, laboratory is not working to even assess and certify these transfusions to happen to save lives. And so patients are very stranded and frustrated, and it has the potential. I mean, the people have engaged say this has the potential of jeopardizing their lives and also, I mean, claiming lives, just as we heard from Hayford.
There, who's been monitoring the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital and other hospitals in the Ashanti region. Meanwhile, the lab workers have been directed to call off the strike. We're yet to get the National Labour Commission and the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission to speak on the matter. But let's go to Parliament now, because MP for Bole Yusuf Sulemana is accusing Lands Minister Samuel Abujinapo and the Minerals Commission of handing out large mining concessions to foreigners without proper consultation. This lack of consultation, he says, has led to heightened tensions in the constituency. Yesterday, Vice Chair and Secretary of the NPP in the constituency were allegedly brutalized by some soldiers allegedly guarding some of these mining concessions. Speaking to journalists in Parliament, Yusuf Sulemana warned there will be further disturbances if the process of handling out these mining concessions is not streamlined. We'll bring you that story later when we get to Parliament and also speak with our correspondent. But right now, the Minister for Works and Housing says the GMET and the Ministry plus NADMO are working to fight against the perennial flooding. Listen to Deputy Housing Minister Hamid, Dr. Prince Hamid.
Early warning systems for flood and drought prediction play a pivotal role in climate resilience and adaptation strategies, serving as a crucial line of defense against the escalating impact of climate change. These systems provide timely, accurate, and reliable information about impending extreme weather events, allowing communities, governments, and organizations to prepare and respond adequately and effectively. In essence, they transform uncertainty into actionable intelligence. In the face of increasing climate-related challenges, such as extreme weather events, flood, droughts, rising sea levels, and heat waves, early warnings are indispensable tools for minimizing the adverse impact on lives, livelihood, infrastructure, and ecosystems.
We're still live on Joy News today. Let's take a break. We'll be back with more. Let's take you to Bole now, where we are learning two brothers, Shirazin Mohammed and Mahama Yakubu, have been shot and hospitalized at the Bole hospital following gunshot wounds they sustained from the last night's raid by some alleged military men in uniform. The two sustained injuries in their head and arms respectively and were rushed to the hospital for treatment. Even though there has not been any official statement attached to the raid, some residents have alleged the military men were sent to chase out all those involved in illegal mining in the district. By Joy News sources in Bole have attributed the raid to the recent happenings in the district where some 20 individuals were unnaturally killed without a single arrest. The information maintains the miners were suspected of being behind the killings in Bole and the raid to get them out. I've been joined by Isaac Nonya. He's our reporter in the Savannah region. Isaac, tell me more. What have you gathered regarding these killings, the latest ones?
Yes, the latest one is that any suspect appears to be arrested, but people are very cautious of what is happening on the ground. Especially on last night raid now, people are actually saying that what they suspected as being the cause of those people who were killed is becoming something against real. So as we speak, many of the residents, mostly young men who were in town left town, leaving few of them who were killed. The residents together with some specific district to ensure that the peace is harmony. Have currently worked district family to make sure that they continue to ensure the harmony. On the top, there are no big arrests yet, and we are told that some of the officers who earlier all last week have found their way to guarantee reason why this rate is up. And the complaint of respect is that there is a case that some of the who stay from labor camp and are better there. Some of the actually that if you must make guarantee or smile, you must be able to proceed. So that is what is going on for us. The farm is very tight, and many people, especially workers, are stuck to their offices, waiting for what will happen, able to let them go ahead with their normal way.
It's difficult really hearing you, Ilyasu, but if you can hear me, has there been any arrests so far?
There have not been any arrests as we speak. We are told that everybody has deserted town, while the police have done together have done their police and military to make sure that anybody found culpable will be arrested. They have moved to the areas like Queen, Banda Kuta, and Dollar Power, where most of these miners are suspected to be operating from.
Isaac Nonya is our man in the Savannah region. Definitely, this is something we're monitoring. There's more we'll bring you in our subsequent bulletins. Meanwhile, MP for Bole Yusuf Suleiman is accusing the Lands Minister, Samuel Jinapo, and the Minerals Commission of handing out large mining concessions to foreigners without proper consultation. This lack of consultation, he says, has led to heightened tensions in the constituency. Yesterday, Vice Chair and Secretary of the NPP in the constituency were allegedly brutalized by some soldiers allegedly guarding some of these mining concessions. Speaking to journalists in Parliament, Yusuf Suleiman warned there will be further disturbances if the process of handing out these mining concessions is not streamlined.
So it's an issue that we are all worried about. First of all, let me say that it's on record that from the beginning of my constituency, that is Bamboy, to the end of it is full of mineral deposits, both right and left sides of the road. And so, of course, you have some galamsey activities going on there. And the move was for us to regularize these small-scale miners so that they don't destroy the environment. As I speak to you, only 4 small-scale mining associations have been granted licenses. And so majority of the youth are forced to continue with the galamsey business. Unfortunately, from February to date, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources has allocated the land or has apportioned the land to over 7 large-scale miners, asking them to go and prospect. And the problem is that there was no any proper stakeholder consultations. And so the youth are there, and then they will see heavy equipment coming to take over what they are doing. And that is where the clash is coming from. Interestingly, it is only the the MPP executives who are given the juicy places to do their galamsey work. And that is what is reflecting. Today, as I speak to you, the vice chairman of the MPP in the Bole Bamboo constituency is hospitalized. The secretary is at the hospital because the military brutalized them last night. They brutalized them because we are told that some ministers have asked military to go and protect the Chinese who are there doing whatever they call it. They say it's prospecting, but I tell you, they're mining. And so the youth involving constituting the MPP executives are saying that, look, we have not been involved, we have not been told anything, and the letter we are doing here is being taken away from us. So that is where the resistance is coming from, and the military couldn't also restrain themselves.
Let's take you live to Parliament and speak with Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kwekwa Sante. Kwekwa Sante, Yusuf Sulemana says he expects to raise this issue on the floor. Has he done that?
Well, he hasn't yet. Parliament started sitting about 15, 20 minutes ago. And he expects that when the business statement for the ensuing week is read, he would draw the attention of the business committee to these disturbances in this constituency and call on the business committee to program the interior minister as well as the land minister to come and answer some questions as to why exactly that is happening. He says this is pretty serious, the kind of carnage he's seen in his constituency. The earlier story he did of shootings, he says all this is related to the mining menace that is going on in his constituency, and he wants both the lands and natural resources minister as well as the interior minister to come and brief Parliament on what exactly is happening, what exactly they are doing to forestall that. He wants the Minerals Commission to be very transparent in issuing these licenses to these foreign companies to mine. He says the chiefs and people in the constituency are not aware that these companies have all been given mining concessions that they claim to be prospecting but actually mining. So these are pretty serious issues. And so he expects that once the business statement for the ensuing week is read, he will come up to the floor and raise them by way of comments.
We know sitting started really late today, just as you indicated, due to the minority boycott. Are the two sides in now?
Well, yes, the two sides of the House are all now seated. But in fact, if you look at the chamber now, they are not up to 30 members of Parliament out of the 275 MPs who are currently there. And just from the monitoring that I just did, I just heard Honorable Samson, a member of Parliament for Bodi, the NDC MP, raising an issue of quorum and asking that the House be adjourned because of that. The Deputy Speaker really did not listen to him on that score. But it is clear that the MPs are not turning up the way they should be turning up. Aisha.
Kwekwa Sante is our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent. Definitely there's more we'll be bringing your way from Parliament as and when we get it. Let's get to the Volta region, where the Regional Director of the National Health Insurance Authority, Joseph Homenya, has ridiculed claims that the scheme has collapsed and is unable to meet the claims demands of service providers. He indicates the scheme is in the best state and continues to function effectively with the digitization of its system to enhance services and the addition of medication and treatment for some chronic illnesses to the scheme. Mr. Homenya was speaking at an annual performance peer review of the year 2023 in Ho.
The National Health Insurance Scheme at the end of 2023 has an active membership of 1,167,329 in the Volta region, representing 68% of the region's 2023 projected population. The Regional National Health Insurance Authority achieved its target for the year and was adjudged the best performing region in the country in 2023. Addressing the 2023 performance peer review, the Volta Regional Director, Joseph Homenya, indicated that the scheme continues to make strides in service delivery.
Utilization records in the period made by members of the scheme to the health facilities for the purpose of medical care stood at 26,100,000 1,400. So you can see the utilization is very high. People are really patronizing NHIS. It's not collapsing. It's growing in strength and strength. So politicians, say the truth. Thank you very much. We can safely say that the NHIS is safe and in the hands of the competent people. The authority has paid most service providers in the region up to January 2024. Those who are in the system for long knows that this is one of the best times of the scheme.
He announced that about 341,016 children between 6 and 14 years would be registered and issued Ghana cards under the NHIA National Identification Authority partnership.
As part of the government's plan to register children under 18 years for the Ghana card, the NHIA is collaborating with the NIA to spearhead the registration. Staff of the NHIA in the region have been trained, and very soon, both NHIA and NIA staff will start the registration.
The Volta Regional Minister, Dr. Archibald Lecha, asserted that the NHIS is one of the best social interventions introduced in Ghana.
Nobody should say that health insurance is not working. Sometimes I hear things on radio. Even health insurance is not working. Even paracetamol they can give you. But when they are sick, they go. They go with their cars. So the fact is that national health insurance is one of the best things that has happened to this country. And we thank President Kufuor for initiating the health insurance scheme.
The Ketu North Municipal Directorate of the NHIE was adjudged the best performing district in the country for increasing enrollment and enhancing the service of the scheme. Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News. Ho.
The Ghana Meteorological Agency is commending government's efforts in fighting climate change and mitigating its impact as developing countries continue to reel under the harsh effects of climate change. Speaking at the closing ceremony of a workshop organized by the World Meteorological Organization and the Adaptation Fund, Board Chairman of the Ghana Meteorological Agency, George Isaac Amu, said government has implemented a string of policies, including the National Climate Policy, which provides comprehensive framework for climate action, and the Grassroots Project aimed at building climate resilience at the community level to provide sustainable land management.
The government of Ghana has consistently demonstrated its commitment to climate change, adaptation, and mitigation. From policy frameworks to grassroots initiatives, we have taken bold steps to address climate challenges. This commitment is evident in the implementation of the National Climate Change Policy, which provides a comprehensive framework for climate action, and the enactment of the Climate Change Act, which legally supports our adaptation and mitigation efforts. Furthermore, the government of Ghana has initiated grassroots projects aimed at building climate resilience at the community level. We promote sustainable land management practices and support local adaptation strategies for vulnerable communities.
Commuters along the Volta River in the Oti region have expressed worry over the frequent breakdown of the ferry at Dambai. They argue the delay in transporting their goods and services across the river is putting their lives at risk as they are parked in boats without adequate safety measures. Oti regional correspondent Peter Seno has more.
It was Wednesday, the 19th of June 2024. The first crossing by the ferry is usually latest 6 a.m. However, the first crossing was done after 10 a.m. It took the ferry more than 10 minutes to dock properly for vehicles to disembark by my observations. This continuous turnaround by the ferry, commuters say, could be due to a fault. Official comments have not been available on this development. The situation has compelled most commuters to rely on boats to get to their destinations on time. Those with vehicles would have to wait until the ferry is able to return to its end to cart goods and passengers across. Some travelers have been sharing their views on this development.
I'm extremely dangerous. It's just like living between life and death. The next moment you are gone, next moment you are living. So that's what we've been living with for all this while. Yeah, it's so scary, but over the years we've been using it, so it's become normal with us. But it's scary.
So for how long have you been traveling on this?
Give or take 7 years now.
37 years.
Seven.
7 years.
Yeah.
Travel on this every day.
Yeah.
Morning, afternoon.
Yeah, morning and evening. Yeah.
So where do you teach?
I'm now at Motoka DHHS.
It's very stressful because sometimes you come and reach and then maybe your destination is not done by, but looking at the situation here, you come and reach and then the boat is not even leaving. And maybe before you reach the station there also, you may not get the car going to your actual destination. So looking at it, it's very, very, very tedious for some of us that are living at the overbank of Dambai here. More than very bad. This one, actually, I have the life jacket myself, but looking at where I'm going, it's an emergency. So I left the life jacket at Karachi. Yeah, thinking that maybe I may get the pantu, but looking at the situation, I just have to cope with it like that.
So what do you suggest or your call to government?
I suggest if in case there can be maybe the police force monitoring them and then the military, make sure that they take the actual number and make sure that at least they have life jackets. If it will not even be for all, at least the number that they'll take, they should have life jacket for them so that they can use.
Kaji Kwesi is one of the boat owners at Dambai. He says the life jackets are not enough to be supplied to all passengers, but refutes the allegation that they do not take care of the jackets.
Life jacket,
some of the jackets do not fit the passengers. The boats are also more than the jackets supplied. Some of the passengers even refuse to wear the jackets when we give it to them. They do not really last because of the way some of the passengers drop them in the water in the boat, despite asking them to bring them out for properly packaging them.
We're still live on Joy News today. It's time now for business. Winston Taki is here with the very latest from the world of business.
It's time for business on Joy News today. My name is Winston Taki, and now to our first business story. Despite the enormous potential of Ghana's fisheries sector, it largely remains untapped due to inadequate research and other modern scientific methods. Although Fisheries and Agricultural Development Ministry admits this, Deputy Minister Abdulaziz Anyaba Musa says there is close collaboration with partners. This is to enable the country to take the necessary steps towards addressing challenges of the sector in the short to long term.
The research vessel, operated by Norwegian Institute of Marine Research, the third vessel to bear the name Dr. Fridtjof Nansen, in honor of Norwegian oceanographer, humanitarian and founder of International Council for the Exploration of the Sea, due to his contributions. The vessel is an integral part of the EAF Nansen program, which is a long-standing partnership between Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, Norway, regional organizations, and 32 countries in Africa, and the Bay of Bengal. The program, since 1975, has research for sustainable fisheries management at its core. Scientists on board the floating laboratory analyze fish stocks, study health of the ecosystem, document plastic pollution, and impact of the climate crisis on the oceans. Speaking at the completion of the 30-day survey in Ghanaian waters, Deputy Fisheries and Aquaculture Minister Abdulaziz Anyaba Musa says the sector faces a number of challenges, including overexploitation.
In response to these challenges, the Ministry and the Fisheries Commission, in collaboration with various fisheries associations and agencies, are pursuing measures to address these concerns and prevent the collapse of Ghana's fishing industry. Unfortunately, the absence of a dedicated research vessel has hindered our ability to assess the impact of these measures. Today, as we all have witnessed, I am pleased to report that Thanks to the collaborative effort of the government of Ghana, the FAO, and the government of Norway, the research vessel has completed a fisheries resources assessment survey in Ghana waters. The survey will provide the country with immense data on the stock levels of both pelagic and demersal resources.
Special advisor to the FAO Africa Assistant Director General and the regional representative for Africa, David Fury, says the EAF nursing program is making blue transformation a reality.
Now, Wilmer Africa, a leading consumer goods company, is poised to enhance the livelihoods of consumers and impact society. The regional sales manager, Sumani Mohammed, said Wilmer Africa will support customers and strengthen partnerships with local communities. He spoke to Joy Business at a ceremony where assorted food items and detergents were donated to the National Chief Imam to mark the Eid al-Adha celebrations.
As part of its corporate social responsibility, Wilmer Africa donated assorted food items and detergents to the National Chief Imam, Sheikh Osman Nuhu Saributu. The donation, which is to promote good nutrition and hygiene during the Eid al-Adha season, also forms part of the company's support for local communities. Speaking to Joy Business, Regional Sales Manager Sumani Mohammed emphasized that the company's dedication and support for its cherished customers remains a priority.
We are here to celebrate Eid al-Adha with our grandfather, our father, the National Chief Imam. You know, at Wilmer, the heart of our mission is enhancing our customers through our brands and products. And Fritor resonates with the Zongo people. When we talk of Fritor, you know, this Eid al-Adha is about giving, sacrificing of the ram and giving. And it's about frying. And we believe that there could not be any other oil to use for the frying other than Fritor. And Fritor is a household name in Ghana. So we've come to donate to our #1 customer. For me, I believe that the Chief Imam is our #1 customer. And we've come with Fritor products, Fortune products, Jama soap, laundry.
The spokesperson for the National Chief Imam, Sheikh Arimiyao Shaibu, expressed his gratitude for the gesture.
Over the years, Wilmer Africa has been paying the courtesy call on the Chief Imam, especially on festive occasions like this. Donation and also organizing cooking competition among Muslim women within the Muslim community. So it's something that the Chief Imam has indicated he is very, very appreciative. Like you heard him saying, the one who is unable to show appreciation to human beings cannot be grateful to God. So this is to indicate that he's very appreciative of all these gestures that has been coming. Assorted products that have come, the detergents, the washing soap that they have, alive soap, the rice, the cooking oil, the fried cooking oil, the rice and other things that have been put together, products that help the Chief Imam to cater for the less fortunate in the society.
The items donated include Fritor cooking oil, Fortune rice, Fortune low-fat spread, and all-purpose margarine, Jamal laundry soap and detergent, as well as bathing soap.
That's all for business. My name is Winston Taki. Coming up is sports.
Time now to bring you sports on Joy News today with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullah, the founder of Right to Dream Academy. Tom Vernon says that Mohamed Kudus has the potential to play for any club in the world. According to him, the Ghanaian midfielder, who also plays for West Ham United, has developed so much so that he can play for one of the best teams in the world.
You know, Kudus has like size 13 feet and he's not very tall. So he's size 13? Yeah. So he's like, genetically, he's a unique athlete.
Yeah.
And you have to be, you know, this is where I think Right to Dream is doing a good job, that we've brought in best-in-class practice. We share it among our group so that we don't fall into stereotypical comments about players.
Yeah.
You know, you have to take, especially at that top level, every athlete as an individual case. You have to be patient with the process. we can definitely be too fast in Ghana to write a player off. And then the other fact is that we develop our players to be successful in Europe. And then from that, they transition into the Black Stars. Yeah. Whereas a lot of the players playing in the junior national teams, they're developed in the Ghana system. So when they play African football, they know everything about African football. Whereas our guys are playing in Europe on a regular basis from a young age, which gives them the platform to establish themselves in the Premier League and other things. And then from there, obviously, they'll have a big impact for Ghana, but we kind of do things the other way around. Yeah. So like we wouldn't really listen to any analysis on how our players were doing in the youth national teams and take it too seriously. We obviously scout the games ourselves and then make our own mind, help the player with some reflections on that. But I think every parent in Ghana would want their kid to establish themselves in Europe first and then tackle the Black Stars rather than focus on the youth national teams but not really know how to play in Europe. And generally the transition of Ghanaian players into Europe over the last few years has not been too strong, and that's because the style of play has differentiated so much now in Europe with Pep's kind of revolution that a lot of people are copying. It's very hard for a young African player if he's not hearing the terminology and getting the coaching from even from 10 years old. Yeah. If you're not getting that and then you just step into Europe at 18 and you hear a coach talking about all of those terminologies, imagine the kind of pressure to try and adapt to all of that. If you speak to Michael, Essien and Derek and others, when they arrived in Europe, it wasn't like that. Yeah. It was much more like simple basics, so you could adapt. But now you come in and you'll be talking about all phases of the game and you're counter-pressing, and if a centre-back receives the ball on his weaker foot, then we're going to press with this direction. If he receives it on the other. And so as a young midfielder, let's say you play 8 and then early on, and then the coach goes back and says, I don't think this guy can learn, which is an equally ignorant comment on the European side. But that's how it goes.
Let's bring you some fixtures of the Euro Championship that is happening. And later today, we'll have Slovakia come up against Ukraine. Ukraine suffered a 3-0 drop in their first game against Romania. Poland, who play Austria. Austria lost to France in the opening game, and Poland also lost their side to the Netherlands. And this evening, we'll have the Netherlands come up against France. It's a big game tonight. But the question is, will Kylian Mbappe be available to play for the Le Bleu after breaking his nose in the opening game of the competition against Austria? We'll take a quick break. Up next is Showbiz.
Good afternoon. You're welcome to the Showbiz segment with me, Jacqueline and Suma Yabua. Now to our first story. Accra is alive with music and arts as Ghana hosts the West African Music and Arts Festival for the first time. Now this event brings together top industry stars from across West Africa. We have more in this report.
Go! Ghana is hitting the right note by hosting the first ever West Africa Music and Arts Festival. This festival joins famous events like the Charlie Water Street Art Festival, Afrofuture and the Black Star Line Festival, celebrating the rich culture of West Africa. At the opening in Accra, the CEO of the Ghana Tourism Authority, Akwesi Achiman, stressed the need for West African countries to work together to keep their cultural heritage alive through music.
So once again, we beat our Nigerian brothers to it, and that discussion is what has culminated in us gathering here today with all these partners from SICK, from the hip hop projects, from Warner Music, from Visa. When we launched December in GH in 2019, it couldn't have been successful had it not been for the work of Musica and all the musicians, because out of the 188 events that we endorsed last year, about 90% of them were musically related. We discussed that business. And that is why we've assembled experts, people with the knowledge, the know-how, and the technology to work with our local talents across West Africa. I believe that together, the collaboration that we are going to have between Ghana, Nigeria, Togo, Benin, Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina, and all the other 16 nations will help position our music
Professor Jasmine Young from Howard University revealed the importance of the festival for creatives in Africa.
And what that festival will do is train, give tools to folks, and make sure that people understand not what to do, but how to do it. Because people will tell you, you know, what to do all the time, right? But you don't know. Give me A, B, C, D, right? Train me, teach me so that I can go, right? And the Bible says what? Train a man to fish, right? And that's what we're doing.
But that's not all. This weekend, there's also going to be a Juneteenth parade celebrating freedom and boosting tourism and the economy in the area. The festival is part of the Beyond the Return campaign, a 10-year project that follows the 2019 Year of Return, marking 400 years since the first recorded enslaved Africans arrived in the U.S. Wamafest promises to be a celebration of cultural pride and unity, echoing far beyond West Africa. For Joy News, I am Jacqueline Ansma Yeboah.
Well, Ghanaian gospel musician Joe Mettle is drawing a firm line in the sand when it comes to working with secular artists. Speaking on Daybreak Hits on Hits FM, the Kadosh singer explained why he turned down a collaboration offer from rapper Sarkodie.
11 years ago, Joe Mettle broke onto the gospel music scene with his hit single, Ishra, from the album Sound of Praise.
I want and need to me.
Fast forward to 2017, he made history by becoming the first Ghanaian gospel musician to win the coveted Artist of the Year award. Joe, who has built a successful career in gospel music, shared that collaborating with secular artists could go against his principles. He believes it could set a precedent for future collaborations that he's not comfortable with.
Me and Sako, like we understood each other, so I don't know why they are bringing these things again.
No, for me, I don't know. Honestly.
No, he spoke about it, and then we talked about it, and so I would tell you point blank. I think what the thing is it's just a door I don't want to open. That's it. I think so. You remember when we had a conversation earlier? You asked me about whether if the Spirit says, you see, when the Spirit allows you to do certain things, He has His reasons for it. But until then, I think by principle, I have too many friends, you know. If you do one, you have to do for everyone else. I don't. That's the whole thing.
It means my own will never go happen. But I'm a true man of God.
I didn't say you.
The one you say it's a door you don't want to open.
Yeah, I just don't want to. I've had a few of my friends who.
Apart from Sarkodie, who else has knocked on the door?
I've had a few, you know.
Apart from Sarkodie and Raskuku, who else?
Raskuku asked me for a feature.
Hey!
No, I think one of the people who's been calling me out a lot lately is Manifest. I don't know why he's been doing that.
Oh, really?
Well, it's a wrap for the showbiz segments with me, Jacqueline and Suma Yeboah. Over to you, Aisha.
Thank you for bringing us showbiz, but of course, I kind of agree with him.
There's a whole lot of conversation.
Yeah, this has happened in other jurisdictions, but in Ghana, you know, Ghana did. That'll be it for the bulletin. Log on to myjournalline.com. There's more of the news and updates of all the developing stories. To enjoy the rest of our programs.